What is better, to be born good or to overcome your evil nature through great effort? This is a quote by Paarthurnax in Skyrim, and I think it's more relevant today than it was 15 years ago when the game first came out. And this won't be a social commentary too much about good versus evil. It's more about the individual mind. So recently on social media, I've been seeing like a trend where people are comparing themselves to other people on the internet, right? Because now have like because of the internet, you now have like 18, 19, 20 year olds that are living a much different, better life than the average person. They're creating games on Roblox or they're creating apps and they're making millions of dollars overnight. And some people, like women, they'll have like channels just because they're attractive and they'll make a lot of money through certain things like maybe OnlyFans, whatever, right? And I'm not here to get into all of that. Good for everyone making money, right? But what I mean is this comparison. I think you compare yourself in terms of wealth against this kid, this 18, 19-year old, and you are far behind, right? That's just the truth. You are far behind. But this is when we get back to the quote, what Paarthurnax said, and I think it's very important. The first question he asked, what is better? He doesn't ask you which would you rather do or which life would you rather live or how would you rather approach things, right? Because if we're all being honest, we'd rather be good from the start. We'd rather be good as we're birthed, right? We'd rather be trust fund kids and our daddy gives us $1 million a year. We'd rather be super attractive. We get signed by modeling agencies. Everyone wants to be around us. Everyone wants to talk to us. We would rather be that person, right? But he doesn't ask that. He asks you which is better. If you were to be born good, you were to be born rich, and you live this rich life, would that be more fulfilling than if you were to be born average? You were to be born in a regular household. You built that wealth from less, much less, and then you live that lifestyle. Which would be more fulfilling? And I think that's what the question asks. It's not saying that those things are not good to have. It's not saying that those things are improbable. It actually says that you are going to overcome it with great effort. You have to. You have to do the work. You have to remember that. If you are not born rich, you have to do the work to be rich. It's just natural. But doing the work is actually a luxury, is how Paarthurnax phrases it, which is really beautiful. Doing the work as a luxury, right? He phrases it in a way that being born good is actually less than achieving the same level of goodness through effort. And I'll give you an example. I always use this example, right? If you're in a car and you're speeding 0 to 60, right? You're just flooring it. You would feel like you're going pretty quick all the way up to until you reach 60. Once you start cruising at 60, it just feel like the norm, right? It is, you are now cruising at 60, you're not going any faster or slower. That is just now your relative state. And if you didn't have to accelerate to 60, but you were already going at 60, you'd never know how acceleration feels. If you were in a car and you're just cruising at 60, you don't really know how fast you're going. Obviously, you're going 60 miles an hour, but you don't really feel it. But when you go from zero, when you know what zero feels like, and then you go to 60, it feels fast. It feels really fast. It almost feels dangerous. If you ever floored a car 0 to 60, it almost feels dangerous. And that danger is more, that acceleration is much more alive than cruising at 60. Like, what's more fun when you get into the highway? That merging lane when you go from 35 miles an hour regular traffic to 65 miles an hour, that's probably the most fun part of the trip. You just really accelerate and you merge onto the oncoming highway. That's the most fun because it's when you accelerate. And when you're cruising in the highway like 60 miles an hour, 70 miles an hour, it doesn't really feel like anything. You're just going to status quo. Sometimes after a while, it may actually feel like you're going slow, right? And I think that's what it is. If you're born rich, good, whatever, you won't have the experience of the journey, right? And I think that's what Paarthurnax is alluding to. And the reason why I want to make this video, and I think it's important enough for me to make this video over my other topics I want to make, is that it really applies to us. I think a lot of us have been getting this minor dosage of this doomer content. We see it all the time on the internet, and it is disgusting because I think it's very effective. I mean, it even works on me sometimes. You have this video of someone who is super wealthy, super attractive, and they're saying that his life is so much better than yours, which is probably true, right? I mean, he's super rich, he's attractive, he probably lives a better life than me. But it doesn't take away from the journey that you're living. And Paarthurnax actually argues and said that the journey you're living to live a similar lifestyle is much better than if you were given everything at birth. But it is much more relevant today, and I think you kind of have to keep a level head when you see these things. Sometimes you go to work and you spend 10 hours and you know you got another 10 hours the next day, and then you read about the story and someone just sold out this company for 10 grand and he's 19 years old and he never has to work a day in his life again. And you think like you think back to this quote, like, I'd rather be the guy that has that $10 million and never has to work again in his life. But I think we forget that if you were to truly live that life, it wouldn't feel as great as if you were to overcome all your struggles in life and making out the other end without anything being gifted to you. Um, but let me know if you still disagree. If you think being born good, right, being born good is better, being born with all the characteristic traits that is deemed desirable by society. If you'd rather have that life, just let me know. Or if you truly think that what's better is overcoming, through great effort.